Hey everybody, it's Swank Ivy again. Today I'm bringing you another Letters to an Asexual. This should be number 34. And I'm making this on Valentine's Day. And that is kind of a difficult holiday for some of us that are aromantic and or we're asexual and we have issues with our relationships that make it a little more difficult than most people. I'm not really going to talk too much about that today, except that my letter is sort of on that theme where I got a comment from one of my early essays from someone who was concerned that I was going to be lonely. And I just want to offer my response to that as a perspective on why being single is not something that you should automatically assume means you are lonely or that it's a sad thing that people should be pitying, including us ourselves sometimes. This, of course, is not to offset any kind of feelings that if you really are lonely and you wish that you had somebody, you know, that is a completely legitimate feeling. I'm not going to tell people that they shouldn't feel that or that they shouldn't desire a partner if they want one, but this is just my perspective as a person who has really never desired a partner, and why it's just by itself is not automatically a terrible thing to experience. So first I'm going to read you the ignorant person's letter. It is from a very long time ago. And I'm 38 years old now, but this was written to me when I was in my 20s, so that should give you some idea of how long I've had this kind of stuff being sent to me. So here's their letter. Probably you are happy, but you must acknowledge that you can grow to be happy living in a cage all your life, as long as you never know or try to see how it is outside. Being happy does not mean you shouldn't try to be happier. It's an experience out there in your reach. It's not like wanting to fly a spaceship, at least not in our lifespan. What do you have to lose? On their dying bed, a lot of people regret things they have never done or tried to do. I think you miss one point. Maybe what you have is a problem with a cure. You just choose to dismiss it. It is your right, but are you sure? It is an experience of life that you dismiss. To be an old lady with a lot of cats might not scare you now, but how many have you known that were happy? Dying minds aside, try to imagine yourself at 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus. One sure thing in life is your own demise. You must realize that your time is running out. At 20-something, you're not too late, but you're getting close. Most of the girls have their first sexual experience at 15 to 18 years old, and usually it's not a positive one. It takes patience and time. Even with a suitable partner, chances are dropping with the wrong one, for them to discover their sexuality. It's not clear if you didn't try, or tried and had bad experiences. In both cases, it's not a reason to stop trying. Chances are also dropping if you let the time go by. Sex has positive and negative aspects. You tend to see more of the latest as you grow older, as sex drive goes down for a lot of people. Being so open about your choice also has two sides. Good for people around you. There are some that live in denial, even get married and end up in the best case divorcing. And not so good for you. You create an image of yourself you might feel compelled to uphold. I just hope you'll not regret your choice when you're older, or worse, and it will be too late. So, as you can imagine, I have a pretty epic response to that, and I'm going to share that with you. Let me see if I can do this without having to reread everything the person everything I'm responding to. So in response to the person saying that being happy doesn't mean I shouldn't try to be happier and what do I have to lose, I said, I have never received any impulse from my body that indicates that I'd enjoy sex. I don't think it would make me happier. That's why I don't do it, even though it's something I certainly could theoretically do. Now, say there's a heterosexual guy. He knew as soon as his sexuality awakened that he liked girls. He has spent all of his mate-searching efforts looking for women, never having it enter his mind that he might find the perfect mate in a man. And then someone came up to him and said, "Why is it that you haven't tried homosexuality? How could it be that you know you wouldn't like it without trying?" The fact of the matter is, 90% of men that you say this to would look at you like you were ridiculous. Of course they know they're heterosexual. They've never had an attraction to a man, and furthermore, even if they don't have a problem with gay people, these guys become a little uncomfortable or even disgusted by the idea of behaving intimately with a man. And they know this without trying. They know because their instinct tells them. And I'd be willing to bet most of them would not be willing to just try sex with a man just to be able to tell other people that they've determined they're not homosexual by experimentation. Do you not understand that I'm like this only with everyone? I cannot imagine being attracted to a person that way, and I know it as surely as heterosexual people know they're not gay. This concept might be a little harder to get across to people who are attracted to more than one gender or are heterosexual but have been curious, but most people get how the analogy makes sense, and that my experiences shouldn't be cast into doubt just because I haven't tried it. But I suppose there are some people who will never understand because they cannot see past the joy that a sexual relationship brings them. Quoting the person who said on their dying bed people regret a lot of things. And I said, I have a feeling there'll be plenty of things I wish I'd done that I never got to do. Our lives are pretty short for all there is to do in the world, but I don't think this has a place in our conversation. It's not fair to say, you'll regret it, I know you will, just because this is something that matters to most of the population. Then, quoting what this person said about maybe what I have as a problem, and I just choose to dismiss it, am I sure? I said, I think it would be a problem if I was lonely, or concerned about my so-called condition, or if it was related to a possible health problem, but it's not fair to tell me that because the lifestyle I choose does not include sex and romantic relationships, I am therefore missing an experience when I am in fact having a completely different experience. People who have a partnership with another person are dismissing my lifestyle and never trying it. Who can say what's better? And considering it's my life and I'm literally the happiest person I know, I think I'm the one who's fit to judge it. That said, I think there is enough sex in the world without me taking special pains to try to make myself want to add to it, especially since I currently have no physical, mental, spiritual, or emotional yearning for what it brings. And then, quote, to be an old lady with a lot of cats might not scare you now, but how many have you known that were happy? And I said, well, to tell you the truth, I'm not going to have lots of cats. I don't like them. I'm allergic to cats. Also, to tell you the truth, saying that I'll be an old lady with lots of cats insinuates I will hoard little replacement friends so I'll have someone to love me, even if it's just an animal, but I have no shortage of love or attention. In fact, sometimes I get a little too much of it, and I seriously want people to get the hell out and leave me alone so I can work on my writing or my email or my art or whatever. It just gets frustrating. But no, being old and without a relationship is not scary to me any more than just being old is. And as an aside, it's not like getting married or having a relationship guarantees you a partner for life. Trying to make me fear being alone because I don't have a romantic promise of permanence is silly because, you know, people who do establish that still sometimes lose their partners in one way or another, and they tend to be less likely to have extended friendship networks the way that I do. So, like, I don't believe for a second that I'm so likely to lose all of my relationships while having a romantic partner would save me from that. But this person's so sure that my relationships with other people aren't sufficiently permanent that they're trying to, like, reality check me with a potentially grim future when they know nothing about my present situation. Anyway, back to the letter. Try to imagine yourself at 30 plus, 40 plus, 50 plus, one thing's sure in your life, it's your own demise, blah blah blah, you're getting close to too late at 20-something. Okay, I said, that's kind of borderline insulting. I don't know if you meant it that way, but you're sure insinuating here that you're pretty sure I'm gonna wake up screaming in horror one day, realizing I'm too late to find happiness, and I'll shriek to the skies, cursing my luck. Oh, what's to become of me? Yes, I know I'm going to die one day, and that will happen regardless of whether I get married. But I can't believe you said to me that I'm running out of time, as if it's impossible to find a mate after 30 and that I should do it now before it gets too late to find one. I do not want one. It is not something I want. It is not a life goal. I'd really rather you not wave my mortality over my head and say in a condescending way, "You'll be sorry, you don't know that." And if you're right, and one day I do want to mate, I imagine it will be brought out in me in a person-specific reaction, at which point it won't be an issue to find said mate. Until then, I'll continue being how I am and being happy with that. And then I quoted how most girls have their first sexual experiences when they're really young, and that it takes patience and time to discover their sexuality. I said, I think what you're missing here is that girls who do have a sexual experience also have an inclination to do so. Well, unless they get assaulted or something, but I don't count that in the same category as a sexual experience. I never sought these relationships out because I did not have any desire to do so, and I have never been the type of person who is influenced by peer pressure either. And the quote from, it's not clear if I just didn't try or if I had bad experiences, and it's not a reason to stop trying. I said, you say that either not trying or trying and having a bad experience are neither of them reasons to stop trying. You want to see my reason? I don't want to. I have never wanted to have sex. I have never had the desire to do it. I don't understand why I can say that again and again and be responded to with, well, that's no reason to stop trying. I never wanted to try in the first place. It is not a goal I want to achieve. Perhaps an out-of-practice runner does not want to jog, and an inexperienced juggler does not want to pick up thousands of dropped balls, but both want the result, being athletic or being a good juggler. I cannot fathom what reason I would have to continuously try to achieve a good experience with sex when I do not want a sexual relationship or the sex act at all in the first place. And then, quote, you create an image of yourself you might feel compelled to uphold. I have repeatedly stated, publicly, that my explanation of and announcement of my sexuality is not a statement of unbreakable vow of future chastity. I have said several times that it might change. It might. I also doubt that it will, but I am not the type who will forego happiness just because she wants to match the face she's put on for the world. I'm sure that if I ever do decide to mate, I will be faced with a nearly intolerable number of I told you so's. So it had better be worth it. But for now, all I can do is continue to live how I choose and in accordance with my physical and mental desires, and not let people tell me what to do. The truth is, if I die without ever feeling an attraction to someone, there will still be people who say, poor girl, she never found the one. There's no way for me to prove that there is no the one for me, and so I'm not out to prove that. But I certainly do live as an example of someone who is happy, very happy, despite not having some of the things most of society considers vital to happiness. And finally, they say, I just hope you'll not regret your choice when you're older, or worse, and it'll be too late. My response, I'm wondering if you're just very young yourself, and you think older people do not date and fall in love and have sex. If you are alive, it cannot be too late to pursue something if suddenly your swish for it flips on. Life and its experiences are not a train you can miss. Plenty of stops to get on and get off exist on its tracks, and forgive me for the extended metaphor, but for me, whether you decide to ring the train's bell while you're on it is entirely up to you. I love to write, and one of the best feelings I've ever had in the world is finishing a novel. But let me tell you, it does not make me sad in the least to imagine how many people will never have that feeling. Because if you're not driven to create characters and scenarios the way that I am, you will never have that sort of payoff either. Just because it's good, great, for me, does not mean I, A, consider non-writers a sad group of people who will never know true happiness, or B, continuously encourage non-writers to become writers. If they have the inclination, they will pick up a pen. Some will love it. Some will like it. Some will be good at it, and some will suck. Some will finish a novel and be able to talk to me about how wonderful it is. But it isn't my business to tell people who don't have any interest at all in writing that in order to fully live, they must construct and finish a novel. It will not work for them any more than diving to catch the last pass of game and landing in the end zone would feel like a rush and an achievement to me, because I'm not into football. I expect others to respect that I'm not into football and sex, and to leave me alone to be right about my own feelings. Part of the reason I have asexuality materials is to try to express that it is not to be understood as nothing but a not yet. So that is my somewhat encouraging commentary on being alone and why it's not something I want anyone to pity me about or worry about my future over. So I hope that those of you who celebrate Valentine's Day are enjoying whatever you're celebrating, and if you like chocolate, it's going to be on sale tomorrow, so that's what I'm going to do. I like chocolate. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.